You're listening to Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at SBTSongs or check us out at chrisblair.com. What's up, everybody? Chris Blair here, and this is another episode of Stories Behind the Songs. We've got Rocky Block with us this week for this episode. I've known Rocky for years and years and years. It's been so cool to watch his career take off, from playing bass on a cruise line to having several top 40 hits, all within just a few years. Man, it seems like Rocky has a writing credit on every hit single and #1 album. He's collaborated with some of the biggest names in country music and has too many great cuts to even list, but a few highlights include Can't Help Myself, released by Dean Brody, Man Made a Bar by Morgan Wallen and Ernest, Cowgirls by Morgan and Ernest, Broadway Girls by Morgan and Lil Durk, Whiskey Bent by Cody Johnson and Jelly Roll. Rocky also has cuts like Hammer to the Heart with Teddy Swims, who he says is not only a generational talent, but also just a super nice guy. In this episode, we also cover his collaborations with Larry Fleet and Ashley Gorley, signing with Big Loud Publishing, writing Jupiter with Georgia Webster, being a fan of the artist that he's in the writers' rooms with, and finding inspiration with new co-writers. He also gives us a quick performance of Cowgirls, and as always, we get to hear the story behind it, the idea from where that song came from, which was on the TV show Yellowstone. So you got to check that out. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your friends and give us a follow. We're so passionate about sharing the stories behind the songs and getting to know the songwriters behind the hits. So it's because of you, the listeners, that we're able to continue to do this. So thank you. Please share it with your friends and do all the things. Again, it was great having Rocky here with us. Let's get to it. Here is Rocky Block. All right, well, here we are, Rocky in the house.
Chris,
dude.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it's this is gonna be good, man. I've known you for a long, long time. We haven't seen each other in a while.
It's been too long.
But was very close friends with your dad, and I want to start just talking about that a little bit because you grew up here in Nashville. You're a unicorn, and you grew up around the industry and music. So, what was life like growing up for you?
It was a blast. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would have loved music anyways, because I love music,
right.
you know. But it was a blast. It fueled my love for it. It was like, we had a rehearsal studio in the basement growing up, and it was just it was a bunch of my dad's friends and him playing music down there, getting ready for the Tuesday night shows that he would do, and it was a lot of fun. It was like there were footballs and what else around, but it was like drum sets, guitars, mini keyboards, everything, you know. So it was fun. It made me love it really young, and it was inspiring to see people. Like, it was never like a thing of like, oh, like music's not a job, or like I don't know how to make this a job.
Sure.
Because there were people around doing it. Yeah. And that was inspiring. But it was really fun. There was a lot of music around. It was like I got to like go help out with a bunch of little events and whatnot, and it made me appreciate the whole everything that goes into it, I think.
Yeah. So then, when did it click with you that you were like, all right, I want to write music and I want to chase this dream?
Writing music specifically, as far as like I want to be a songwriter versus I want to be in music, I want to be an artist, I want to play bass for people, that switch happened when I was probably like 20 or so, 21. Okay. I was kind of like handy, like jack of all tradesing a little bit, if that makes sense. I was singing some of my own songs, I was writing, you know, but like, no, that came about when I was signed to Bob DiPiero.
Yep.
I was probably 20 when I started working with Bob, and I was still kind of doing like I was doing like this soul project,
and that started because of the cruise, right? You were playing bass on the cruise.
It did. I was playing bass on the Delbert McClinton Sandy Beaches cruise.
Yeah.
I think that year and Bob and I knew of each other through my father, and I had some songs, and I knew he was like a hit songwriter. And I like humbly kind of was just like, yo, can I show you some of this? Like, I wasn't looking for a publishing deal necessarily. It wasn't like that. I just like, wanted to hear what he thought.
Yeah.
And that turned into us writing together over the next like year or so, a good bit, and then working together from a publishing standpoint. Yeah. But we met on a cruise.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I love it. So let's just dive in. You've got so many great stories. I know we're not even going to be able to touch half of them with, all the songs that you've written, but let's just jump in with your first number one Canadian. There's a really cool story behind that. So tell us about that.
So that was I Can't Help Myself, right? Yeah. And that was a fun one. So that was I wrote that song actually in like Phoenix, Arizona, I think, on with Florida Georgia Line 2019, like pre-COVID, like and yeah, it was fun. It was my first time ever going out and like riding on a bus and like doing that whole thing. I remember feeling like so vindicated as a songwriter.
Yeah.
Because like I had like sat on planes going places like with like a bass so many times. And it was like the first time I had like hopped on a plane like with like an acoustic guitar instead, being like, I'm going to write songs right now. And now I'll never forget it. That was like a special moment, like being like, all right, something's happening here, And so we got out there and like it was Blake Redfarron, Jason, Bobley, and the FGL guys. And it was the first song we did that weekend. We were sitting around. It was the stomp clap thing, and it was fun. Like I'm an FGL fan, like and it was fun to be there for that and see it all happen. And I was we thought obviously writing it that it would be for FGL. They ended up not doing it on their project. And my buddy Griffin Palmer knew the song, and he showed it to the Rec Laws and was like, yo, you guys like have to hear this. And they were like, yo, they got Dean Brody on it. And then that's about how that came to life. And it came out, did well for everybody. And it was it was like the first time a song of mine had like worked in any capacity, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
And that was like a all around start to finish. That was a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually bought this watch, which isn't a crazy watch, but like because I had no idea what like it looked like, monetarily. So probably a bad decision in hindsight. But it was my first experience with any of it.
Yeah.
And it was a really fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I think it was 2020 when your deal with Bob was coming to an end, and you had a tough decision to make, whether you stayed there or went somewhere else. How was that, and also like the struggle with 2020? Like how long did you contemplate like, okay, what am I going to do here?
Months and months.
Yeah.
And that was a tough one. I was really, really happy with Bob. Loved Bob. Like, it was great. But I don't know. It was months of being like, not really kind of like, it's a tough thing to grapple with. And it was my first time ever, I guess only time, because I've been there since, but like I've kind of had to navigate that. And I really like I would be fine never figuring that out again. But no, it was during COVID, which made it a little more interesting, just because things were like going a certain way up until March, and then no one kind of knew what was going on from any standpoint, like either like. So there was a few months where I was nervous because I was just like, man, like I hope everything works out one way or another, like, and ultimately it just it felt like the right thing to do for me to go over to Big Loud when I did.
Yeah.
And it kind of happened in the thick of COVID. Like I didn't even we weren't even like allowed in the building for like the first like 4 or 5 months I was like signed there. Like it was an interesting time. But I was also like, it was so funny because there was like not a ton going on in like May or June, but I was so excited to get going. And yeah, I was just writing with anyone who was down to write, just because I was like, this is awesome. Like I feel like I have all this newfound opportunity or something, you know?
Sure,
so
yeah.
It was a tough choice, and it was an interesting few months, but it was all, it was all good, and I'm grateful for the way everything's turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Craig Wiseman and Bob are like great friends too. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that was like probably some fun, competition behind the scenes, but also, just knowing those guys, just how much they support each other was probably just, beautiful thing.
Great guys.
Yeah. And it's been really good. Like you said, you've been there since. You stay busy. You write, like 5 days a week, pretty much?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about the collaboration process, because you've got a lot of great collaborators. And what we see a lot is like these camps that get built that work, and you're just writing so many great hits. And a lot of times as that happens, those camps kind of stick together, and that's really all they write with. It seems like with you still kind of have open arms to just like write with new people and look for like fresh collaborators all the time. Is that right?
I do. I try to. I mean, I think it's a balance of both.
Yeah.
I think without some sort of core group of people that you feel confident with and that you feel dialed in with, and that like, we might not get it perfect or right this time, but like this is, we have something here, and like if we do this a lot, stuff will come from it. I think that's so important to find those people and do that. And I feel so grateful and lucky to have the guys around me that I do, and to get to be around them. I find a lot of joy in like the unknown when it comes to being in a room, and like being in a room is like being at a dinner table almost. Like you want to set up to the table to where everyone's like going to be able to talk, and everyone's going to be able to like, kind of coexist in a way. I don't know. I was just thinking about this but yeah, I value like that new energy. It kind of like, it puts me on my toes. It makes me want to be like, yo, like I like, it's easy when you're with like guys that you've written hundreds of songs and hits with, to be like, I don't know. It's like you can get in like a little bit of just like a airplane mode situation. That's not like a lack of caring or trying or wanting to make it good, but you're kind of just, how it goes.
Yeah.
It's good. And when there's someone new in the room, no matter what they do, it kind of makes you change whatever the dynamic of like, if there's already like a room that you're like, yeah, me and these two guys, like we crush, like a new person's fun. That's fun. Cause it makes us like, so, no, I always try to both just like people I haven't worked with and also people coming up. I think a lot of my favorite writers, a lot of the best writers in town, a lot of the guys I look up to, I'm always so surprised when like they're willing to work with me, and I think that's an indication of, and this is right now, this is 3 years ago, this is whatever, like it's an indication of like, they know they need, lack of a better term, new blood, new energy, new,
sure.
Right? So like, if that's the example I'm looking at, I should make sure that I'm still looking around going, who's next? Who's fire? Who's I don't care.
That's so
I
good,
don't know.
man.
It doesn't matter how many, hits or anything like that. Like, I don't know. There's a guy right now that's gonna have, way more hits than me that hasn't had a hit yet, for sure. Undoubtedly. I would love to work with whoever that is.
Yeah.
And like, it really just takes trying to understand it. And I feel lucky to have like my little brother around the office who has like, kind of like, we have like a lot of the same writing, like co-writers, but also like, he's kind of like tapped in with like this group that like, I would have totally still been like familiar with, but I wouldn't know as intimately, and I wouldn't have like heard maybe like as many of their songs that aren't out yet because they did, so
Yeah.
I think company's like important when it comes to trying to figure all that out. And I feel like there's a good setup for trying to do that. And I love doing that. I think it's really important.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Sennheiser microphones. When we first started this podcast, we were using some older microphones, and Sennheiser came in and sponsored us and gave us some MK4s and 914s. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's made all of the difference in the world. We love these microphones. We use them at the listening room as well. And I just can't say enough great things about them. Go check out Sennheiser.com. If you are into music in any way, their microphones are hands down the best on the planet. Go check them out, Sennheiser.com. And thank you, Sennheiser, for the support and the sponsorship. We love y'all. Well, speaking of collaborators, it's worked. So let's dive into some stories behind the songs.
Okay.
When you play here, like the reason we started doing this is like, people get like maybe a minute to intro the songs. And through the years, just learning more of how these songs are written and why they're written and all of that, just, I wanted to share these stories, right?
Yeah.
So let's dive into the very first time that you ever walked into a room with Larry Fleet.
All right. The room was a front lounge of a tour bus, specifically the Big Loud bus, which at the time was not the Big Loud bus that it is now. Like now there's like the same bus, it's like got the thing on the side. At the time it was like super new that we were trying that out. They were trying that out.
Yeah.
I got to be there. But yeah, so we were in, Romy would know. Shout out Romy, Bus King, legend. But he would know exactly where we were. I think it was somewhere in like Kansas or Arkansas. But yeah, I had known Larry a little bit, but we had never written a song together. And me and Brett Tyler and Jordan Dazzi were out there with him. And yeah, he walked on, kind of started talking, and Brett was like, "Man, I got like this." It's funny. Dazzi found the voice memo of it, but it's Brett going, "Man, I got this like silly thing called like Man Made a Bar," and we were all like, "That's cool." And yeah, within not very long, we were kind of like trying to figure out the bit, and then it gets to the cyclical bit of like the chorus and or the origin story of the chorus, and but that was like the first. Again, I love writing with people for the first time.
Yeah.
It gives me this thing that's like new and exciting, I guess. But I also I didn't know this at the time maybe, but like I love writing songs with and for Larry Fleet. I love the gratitude. I love who he is. I think it comes off as honest because it is. And like the whole Man Made a Bar bit, like really probably isn't written that way or written at all for like if we were gonna just like, if sounds crazy, if we were gonna just do a Morgan session that day, right? Just because I don't know, I reckon it doesn't happen the exact same way,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first time on the Big Loud bus, probably my first time riding with Larry. Dazzi's first time. I know Brett had written with him before, but yeah, that was he walked on the bus and that's what we did. And yeah, it was a fun one. We didn't know what the deal was. And I actually remember walking off the bus after we finished it, and I think Brett looked over to me and he was like, "Is this one like really heady?" And I was like, "I don't know, maybe." Cause like it's kind of how you feel sometimes.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know. But yeah, I'll never forget it because it worked. I'll never forget. If it hadn't worked, it would have been like, I don't know
Just
if I would
another
remember
song.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I remember walking off and him being like, not like that was too heady, but just like, was that like too heady? And I was like, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I don't know. But it's funny. You really don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and actually after we walked off that bus is when we were standing in front of it talking, and man, like Larry said something along the lines of, there's a lot of things I take for granted. And he was like, that'd be a cool song. And then we walked back on the bus and did that. But no, Man Made a Bar was really fun. It was the first time we ever wrote. And afterwards he sent it to Seth. And I think Seth said something along the lines of like, do you want to keep this or do you want to, send it for Morgan? And yeah, they sent it for Morgan. It was actually, this is a fun part of the story that I normally don't tell. It was towards the end of the record, and the very, very last day that they cut for the entire record, I got a text that morning about, I think it was like 180 Lifestyle, and I was like, okay, sick, we got another one, and I knew they were probably only cutting 2 that day, right? It's like generally 2 a day. Sometimes they get 3, sometimes they get 1. I don't know. It's not my world as much, but. It was like 3:00, so I figured it was like kind of over with. And me and Dazzy got a text from Mike G that was like, need the Man Made a Bar lyric right now. And like by the time I had looked at my phone 2 minutes later, Dazzy had already sent it. And yeah, it was the very last song cut for the entire thing.
Wow. And just went number 1 like a month ago or so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So feel very lucky about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That was a fun one though. It's been. Yeah, I feel very lucky to be a part of
that. Let's talk about another first, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the King, Ashley Gorley.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, the first time. Yep. I love first rhyme. I'm telling you, I really do.
You're onto something, Rocky.
No, I know.
This is the thing, dude.
I'm gonna run out of, but you know, we're never gonna run out of people, so it's perfect.
That's right.
But. No, yeah, the first time I wrote with Gorley was over with Charlie and Ernest, and thank God I had written with them a good bit, or else I would have been like too nervous, straight up, just whoa, because it's hard to like in a room like that, especially this was like towards the end of maybe 2021.
Yeah,
it's hard to like. Either understand why you're there or have enough confidence to be like, yeah, like I am supposed to be here. Here's what I think. Like, that's like not an easy bit when you have a bunch of really great established writers that are, in my opinion, some of the absolute best. And, but yeah, it was fun. We were there. Charlie had the bit going, and Ern was like, man, like, I was watching Yellowstone last night. I think we should do Long Live Cowgirls, bro. I think it'd be fire. And I was like, yeah. Gorley walks in. He's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, man, Luckily, we had met and whatnot, but we had never worked together. And it was fun. I felt a little out of my league, and it grew into the session. Had to be like, all right, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I say that because. I just, I think it's okay to feel that way out of like respect for people almost.
Were you out at Gorley's farm or were you in a writer's room?
We were at the Hutton.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how does that play into like the atmosphere that you're in, especially when you're walking into a room with guys like that for the first time? Like, do you have a preferred place that is more comfortable?
That's a good question. I think I maybe have places that I'm more comfortable, but more so due to frequency there than like the vibe there.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
I also like don't have to worry about like I just like walk in with my little backpack and sit down, and I don't have to worry about like do I know which plugs are where or anything. Like I don't know. It's easier to feel like kind of just like yeah I'm here, and the nature of writing in so many places all the time, anyways, it's kind of like. It doesn't matter as much anymore.
Yeah.
But no, it was probably nice that I was there in a place that I'd been and knew. So yeah, it was good.
So Ernest comes in with the idea. Is that right?
Ernest comes in with the idea. He starts like as he does, he starts freestyling like the top of the chorus. The like Gorley says the thing about Lonely Ghost Town World, and I'm like, that's the craziest bit, bro. Like he is that crack. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
And then, like, I tried to help the way I know how in those situations where there's already a bunch of great stuff going on. And it worked out great. Took a lot, like another one of those ones that, like, at least Man Made a Bar, like, we wrote it in probably September, got cut in probably November, just due to that was the end of the cutting.
Yeah.
With Cowgirls, it was like the whole album cycle. I was like, surely they do that one. Surely they do that one. And, you just have to have trust and, like, patience. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did. They did it. And then I don't know if Ern knew if he was going to feature on it or not when Morgan cut it. But I'm glad that of all the songs that Ern wrote for him, he wanted to do that one.
Yeah.
It was, I feel, again, very lucky to be a part of that.
So how long did that one take?
Like, in the room?
Yeah.
Couldn't have been more than a couple hours.
Yeah. It's great.
You have a lot. I mean, that's like a blessed position to be in as a songwriter, is having like two guys that have that much output in the same room.
Yeah.
It didn't take that long.
Yeah.
No.
Such a great song. You want to play a little bit of it?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's hear it, man.
I didn't bring a capo or anything. So we're going to see how this goes. My brother got me this guitar. Thank you, Brady.
It's beautiful.
Thanks. I don't know. The Lucero. I love like kind of bad nylons.
Yeah. I think it was we did an episode of this podcast with Dazzy, I think around like April 23rd or something like that, 21st, whatever. But I'm pretty sure it was he was the one that walked in too that was like, dude, I like didn't have a guitar. And he like took Ernest's guitar from Big Loud that morning. Like, So
I almost did that too. Chandler was over there. I was like, man, all of our guitars are somewhere else right now. Like, I need to grab a guitar. And he like hands me this guitar, and I was like, they got a bunch of nice guitars. And I was like, man, I can't just put that in my front seat right now. So I went and searched around, and we found this. And it's
your
actually,
guitar
that you
mine. Forgot you had.
Yeah, it's actually mine. So no, we're stoked about it.
All right, Cowgirls, let's hear it.
Cowgirls, let's do it. Yeah, great. She'll set the field on fire just cutting across the pasture. She'll have you falling for it all and leave right after. She got a cold heart, she got a warm smile, cut from the same cloth. She kinda buck wild, little bit angel, whole lot of outlaw. She's trouble, but I tell you right now, y'all, long live cowgirls. Never gonna settle on down, girls. Leave you in a lonely ghost town, world where the sun don't rise. Rodeo for one night, love you like a Mustang. One hand on them giddy up reins, hole in your heart with some good aim on a goodbye ride. But it's fine, cause it's kinda my thing. Long live cowgirls.
Yeah, dude. Love it.
Great. Thanks.
Where were you when you got the call that that song was gonna do what it did?
Where was I? I don't know if I got a call about that one. I got a call about Man Made a Bar. It was like I was somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was Patch, it was Mike, it was Dawes was there. It was like a fun FaceTime call. I think by the time Cowgirls was coming around, it was just like a little bit more foregone of like, this is happening next. So I don't know if there was actually a call when that was going to radio, but I don't remember the call when it got cut. But
yeah,
there's like, it's funny with a lot of these songs and the way that like Big Loud works in particular when it's cut there is like, there's so many angles that you could find out from, right? Like it could be Joey being like, yo, we're doing this. Or it could be like Mike a day later being like, yo, they did this. Or like one of the writers or one of the, so like, yeah, it kind of, you're always just like, oh, amazing. It's always kind of that thing. But no, I couldn't tell you exactly where I was when I found out that was going to
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know about
right.
that one.
Yeah.
But I remember Man Made a Bar. That's no indication of which song I'm more proud of or like better.
Yeah.
But
yeah. You've got some other things that you're pretty proud of. Some exciting things that are about to come out. Let's talk about those a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked about
Teddy Swims.
Yeah, love the Teddy Swim stuff. Just had a few songs come out on him. Hopefully have some more in the future. I think he is one of the sweetest dudes in the world. I love being around him, and he's also like a generational talent singer, so that helps. But he's also just like the sweetest dude, and really easy and fun to go work with. But also that's like, his stuff is fun for me in particular musically because it's probably the most reminiscent of what I did before I was like trying to make money doing music.
Yeah.
So it's a real pleasure to get to go do that kind of stuff again. Do that kind of stuff for the first time in a different capacity. And yeah, I'm a really big fan. I feel lucky. I feel like I'm a really big fan of like a lot of the artists I get to work with. And that makes my day-to-day so much easier.
Yeah.
And it allows me to write a lot more songs.
Yeah.
Because I want to write that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I've, obviously you take your opportunities everywhere. But I have tried to put an emphasis on just like working on stuff I'm a fan of, and like Teddy Swims is that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really fun for me.
Where you are in your career now, do you find that like are you more in that kind of mindset where you're with the artist more often, or when you're writing, it's like, okay, this is a Morgan song today, or this is
it's
whatever. You've got Jupiter for Georgia, like are you going in and going, hey, I've just got this great hook, let's just write, and then maybe
it depends. If there's no artist in the room, then yeah, it's more so, and it's still. I mean, sure, I probably get to be in the room with artists more than I did a few years ago, and that's great. But there's still absolutely the element of like a few of us guys a few of us songwriters are gonna get together and we're gonna just like talk for an hour or two about all of our ideas and pick the best one, like just do it.
Yeah.
Like I'll never get tired of that. And I'll never stop doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a little bit different of an art being in the room with an artist, because you have the unique opportunity of being with the artist and trying to understand and facilitate what the artist wants to do.
Yeah.
When I'm writing for pitch, it's like we generally write something that we know how the artist wants it. Like, for instance, Morgan, it's like there's a group of us that have spent years trying to understand what that thing is, what works, what doesn't, why. And those are like, I'm not necessarily sitting down with those guys trying to write a song for pitch for someone who I'm not as dialed in on what their thing is, because I haven't been around that, or I haven't written a bunch of songs with and for that artist. So yeah, it's definitely changed to being around and being in the room with the artist more often than I was. But it's still, there's, you still write with your writer buddies and you just try to write a great song. It's just like, it's a little bit different of a, not technique, but it's just a different workflow. It's
got to be a feeling of like, man, I made it too. Like you've come a long way, and I mean, it's what other writers dream of, to get into that spot where you can just text these guys that are on the radio, and you're in the rooms with the artist, and whether it's somebody like a Morgan Wallen or some of the new artists that are just coming out. I mean, talk a little bit about, like, again, Jordan Dazzy was on here, and we talked a little bit about the song Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff like that too. Were you? I know you wrote it with Jordan, but were you in the room? Was Georgia a part of that?
Yeah,
too?
Georgia was there. It was our first time writing together.
Yeah.
And no, dude, she came in with that hook, and I was flabbergasted. No, she came in and she was like, "Man, I got this idea. It would be like, if you need space, you should go to Jupiter, because loving you was stupid boy, or losing me was stupider." Exactly how it is in the song.
Yeah.
She came in and said those lines, and it was like, that's awesome. That's great. I love that. And yeah, that was for me, it's like, and for most writers, I think most writers would attest to this, is like when there might be a great idea that you're just like a little bit at a loss of how to do. And then there's ideas that like maybe aren't even as great, but you know exactly how to do them. This was like that combination for me of like, that's a great idea and it gets my wheels turning, like, let's go. So yeah, no, that was a blast. Georgia's so talented and so cracked for bringing that idea. It was a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got other great songs for Cole Swindell, and I mean, just just great stuff that you've done. Do you have? I've asked this of other writers before, and I know it's such a tough question to answer, but do you have a favorite song that has been cut?
I don't think so. I don't know. It's kind of like I don't know. I don't have any kids, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like having kids, It's like,
yeah, that's exactly the way other people have described it. It's like asking me to pick my favorite child.
Yeah, so, it's like, kind of hate them all. No, I'm messing with you. But no, it's I don't know. I couldn't pick. I couldn't pick. That'd be a tough one. But I love them all, but not equally.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorites is Whiskey Bent.
Oh,
such a great song.
Thank you.
Just the way, that hook, I don't know who brought that idea to the room, but that's one of my favorites.
That was a fun one. So, I mean, I had Whiskey Bent, right? But I was, and I knew that there was something you could do with like the bending of the whiskey, right?
Yeah.
And I think I brought it in to Adam and Mikey as like, Whiskey bent the rules and we broke it or something like that. Like, not what it is.
Yeah.
But just like the action of the whiskey bending. And Adam found it. He was like trying to straighten up what whiskey bent. It took maybe 5 minutes of figuring it out. And he said that. And it was one of those sessions that we had spent a long time trying to figure out what the thing was too.
Yeah.
But I love Adam and Mikey because they'll do that. I like doing that. But we found it that day. That's an example of digging for the right idea. I probably wouldn't have even thrown that idea out if we hadn't gone through the ones I knew how to do better, Yeah. But I had, he had thrown out some, I had thrown out some, and it's like, you kind of throw out the ideas that you know how to do first, maybe. And that was kind of like a little deeper, and it was like, I don't really know how to do this, but maybe there's a better way to hook it. And that's kind of how that one came about. Adam found it. The three of us, yeah. Once you find it, it kind of goes. It goes pretty smoothly.
Yeah, so good.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about Broadway Girls. Is another one of those. Just like that's on my workout playlist. Love it. It just pumps me up. Getting that in the collaboration with Lil Durk. Like, talk about like how that song came about, and just a little bit about like what it felt like to have another Morgan cut with the collaboration.
Yeah, that was an awesome one. It was we were at Losers one Friday, and it was kind of like,
for everybody out there listening, Losers is this bar.
Losers,
and like where the locals hang. So
bar in Midtown. We were just doing the thing, and then there was like a whole gaggle of us that went over to the studio. Charlie had the beat, Ern went in the booth. Did a lot of it right then and there, and then it was kind of there was some rearranging of the song once Durk became a part of it, but I think what happened was Morgan may have posted it in some iteration of itself, and then Durk was like, "Yo, I wanna do this with you."
Yeah.
And that was my first song with Morgan. That was my first, like, that was totally the biggest thing I'd ever done at the time. And yeah, it was a blast. It was just, I got to, be a part of it with Grady, which was really cool. And yeah, we went down to the music video shoot when that happened, and like hung out with Durk, and it was all a really fun, relatively surreal experience at the time.
Yeah.
Due to the nature of the collab and it was a fun one. That was really fun. And yeah. There was a bunch of sessions, as far as like, not a bunch, I guess, but a few, as far as like the initial session. Okay, now Durk's on it. Okay, now how do we figure it out with that in mind? And I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad it worked out well. And yeah, that was I appreciate all the guys on it for letting us be a part of it.
Well, I appreciate all the great songs that you've put into our soundtrack.
Oh, thank you.
From playing bass on a cruise ship to what you've done, man. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you. I really just, I love writing songs. I love the people in this town. And I feel so lucky that the guys and girls that I work with allow me to work with them. Because I mean, none of these songs would be what they are without the people that I get to be around,
Yeah.
And I really feel like the lucky one every day. It's just like there with a bunch of people that are great.
Love it.
So it's yeah, I feel really lucky. Really lucky.
Couple more things I want to talk about before we wrap up. Doing this for so long and having success, what kind of advice would you give songwriters today?
Be kind, be hungry, be passionate. And, I think that for me, I stuck around and stuck at it long enough for it to start working for me.
Yeah.
And then I keep at it because I want it to keep working for me. And I think that the most important thing you can do as a songwriter is write songs. I've seen an incremental, pretty small, but it's there. I've seen like a jump in form, a jump in like quality, just a little bit every 100 songs or so. It seems. Just little things you figure out that help you not make that mistake next time. Like this idea was written perfectly, but maybe wasn't that universal idea that, cuts through.
Yeah.
Writing a bunch of songs helps that meter inside of whatever. It's like all little experiences of what worked and what didn't work. And like, I would say specifically for songwriters, I mean, I had so many guys when I was trying to figure out how to do this, be like, dude, just write a bunch of songs. I was like, I don't even really know how to do that.
Yeah, what does that even mean? Yeah,
literally, what does that mean? And it means by yourself, with whoever, doesn't matter. Write a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
That for me has been the thing that's helped me along the most. And as well as you can, root for people.
That's good.
It makes I feel better, and my life is better when I'm like rooting for people. I can get in a, you get in a headspace of like either scarcity, or it's really like a lack. For me, it's a lack of like faith and trust in myself to be able to do what I do when I get into that thing. But it really stifles me. So I try to just be grateful and root for people and write a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
Because I still feel like I'm getting better with every 100 or so songs I write.
Yeah.
And I just want to get better.
Great advice. Okay, last question. Can't be the same answer, so start thinking.
Right.
But no, it could be. If you go back to 8-year-old Rocky,
Okay.
now what you've done and what you've learned, what advice do you give yourself?
You have time.
Mm.
I thought when I was young, I thought that I had like way less time to get good at things. I thought I had way less time to make something of myself. I thought I had, and that's probably a personal thing because I had a father in the business who I came to very young and said, I want to do this. I'm passionate about this.
Yeah.
But that's what I would tell myself because I got so caught up in being like, oh, I'm like, when I was so young, like I feel young right now. In a lot of ways I don't. My back doesn't, my like, you know, there's a few things, but like,
dude, you're so young.
But right. I can receive that now. But
Yes.
like at a certain point, like, I don't know. I felt like I didn't have like enough time to whatever. I don't know. But I would, you know, I would say take your time. And I would say, God, I would probably, and I would probably try to have some sort of conversation about balancing money and art because it's just like, it's an interesting thing when I'll never forget like the tightness in my chest when I like quit my job at the sandwich shop and I was like, okay, like I write songs now. It was so daunting. It was like, so, I mean, obviously I was stoked. But yeah, I don't know. I would tell me, yo, make music because you like it and the money will, if you can be broke long enough, the money will eventually just be like, okay, like now things are okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I definitely for some odd years would create with the headspace of I have to make money. That's not even the worst thing in the world. You kind of have to, but I wouldn't need to explain that to my 8-year-old self in hindsight. Like now that we're talking about this, but yeah, I don't know. I would tell me to trust myself. I would tell me to be confident, and you know, I would tell me that I had a bunch of time.
Yeah. So good. Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you, Chris.
It's been a blast.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
I'm such a fan of the listening room. I love coming and playing here.
Thanks.
And yeah, I'm a fan of what you guys do. So thanks for letting me sit down and talk.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Well, everybody out there listening, thank you so much. You've been listening to another episode of Stories Behind the Songs with Rocky Block. We'll put liner notes to connect to you. So all the things. And yeah, thanks again, bro.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. Make sure to give us a follow on Spotify if you enjoyed this episode, and make sure you click that notification button so you can keep notified when new episodes come out. We release brand new episodes every Tuesday, and you can find us on YouTube at Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to send us a comment letting us know what you thought of the episodes. We love getting your feedback, and share this with your friends. The more we grow, the more that we can keep doing this. It's our mission to bring you all of these great stories behind the songs from some of Nashville's most iconic artists and songwriters, publishers, producers, everyone in between, and a lot of my great friends. We love what we do, and we love sharing their stories with you. We appreciate all of the continued support. Thanks also to all of our sponsors, and we will see you all next week.